Hey folks, welcome to the December edition of our Fin product updates. I'm Brian, VP of Product here at Intercom. At Intercom, we're committed to building you the absolutely best AI agent on the market so you can deliver exceptional customer service. Today, it's the highest performing, both in terms of resolution rates and the quality of the customer experience it delivers. It continually wins in head-to-head competitions. And we invest uniquely. We invest a lot in making Fin easy to learn without compromising on its power. To deliver on this, we organize our product around the Fin flywheel. This is the continuous improvement process you need to get those high automation rates with Fin. Fin gets better the more you use it. So what is the Fin flywheel? Train. This is where you basically tell Fin what to answer and how to answer with your content, your guidance, your procedures. Test, which is, hey, before you set Fin live, make sure you're comfortable with it, that Fin is performing exactly how you want. Deploy, put it on all the channels, tailor it for specific audiences, and then analyze. And this is where our AI Insights product comes in. This is the fuel that tells you what and where to improve Fin. This is the fuel that keeps that flywheel spinning. Okay, so today we're going to share a handful of product improvements. We'll go a bit deeper on two from Insights, CX score reasons and trending topics, and then also quickly review Fin over Slack, Fin audience control, content experience improvements, and finally Changelog. So we're going to start with Insights. And to do that, I'm here with Christine, Director of Product, who's built our Insights product, and Dawn, AI Knowledge Manager for our service team, who uses Insights product. So welcome both. Great to have you here.
Thanks.
So let's start with CX score reasons. So first, just explain CX score. What is it? Why do we need it?
Yeah, so measuring the customer experience is incredibly important, and the customer experience is one of the strongest differentiators that a company can have. And the way that you've done that in the past is through CSAT. But we know CSAT is inherently flawed. It relies on surveys. You get really low coverage. Something like 8% of all of your conversations end up with a CSAT response, and it's super biased. So we set out with AI to improve that and to give you a metric that you can actually measure the customer experience at scale.
Got it. Okay, so a huge part of this is getting that coverage. So your critical metric is not based on a tiny minority of actual conversations.
Exactly.
Great. Okay, so why did we have to keep working at this? You've been working at this for a while now.
We have. So like you said, the first version of CX Score, it unlocked coverage and customers loved that. But the reality is, like, AI was able to give you that and give you that coverage at scale, but the metric lacked transparency and a deeper understanding of what was actually driving that score. So we've spent the last few months improving the underlying model, and we've now shipped something that we're calling CX Score Reasons. These are these new dimensions that give you signal into sort of what's driving that score. So I'll show you in the product what those look like.
Great.
So first, we'll have a look at those on an individual conversation level. Like before, we'll still give you that score of a 1 through 5. We'll also give you that summary to give you an idea of what's happening. But you'll see here, for all of your conversations, you're now receiving, or you can see those dimensions. So in this case, the underlying signals driving that score of a 5 was the fact that the customer didn't have to put in much effort to actually get their query resolved, and Fin gave an answer of high quality. So you can see all of this at the individual conversation level, but because we also have the scale of measurements with the CX score, you can also roll these up into reports. So here I've plotted the drivers of low CX score, and you can see, like for Intercom right now, the signal that's driving, or the reason that's driving the our low scores, is around high user effort. And so you can see all of those different dimensions there. But you can also dive into these on like an individual reason level too. So I've taken that same high effort reason, I've plotted that over time. So you can see, like, as you make process improvements, is the number of conversations with that reason going up or down? And here I'm just comparing it to the overall CX score so you can understand the relationship of that. But what's great too is something like the negative product feedback reason. This really helps you have like data-informed decisions or data-informed conversations with your product team. So I've plotted negative product feedback alongside topics, and now I can see specifically what parts of the product are driving like a negative product experience that customers are talking about.
Very cool. So it's the individual conversational level and then at the aggregate view, so you can actually go in and find what to look at.
Yeah.
Dawn, I think actually this feature in particular is what we've worked most closely with the service team building from the outset. Tell us how you guys are using it.
Yeah, we use CX Score too, especially the Fin answer quality component. This helps us monitor the customer experience when we make changes to Fin's content or Fin's behavior. We recently noticed that in conversations around tagging, which is one of our core product features, they were flagged with the CX reason low Fin answer quality. Because of the signal, we're able to go in and overhaul all of the content on tagging, and we saw that the CX score for tagging went from 83% to 93%. Yeah.
That's so cool. So it helps you spot, here's the conversations to try to improve, go up, and then actually gives you, here, now you can validate whether you've done it as well.
Exactly.
Super powerful. So our hope here is that now we've revved a big rev again to really make the CX score with score reasons better. And actually score reasons enable us to get a higher quality metric with more coverage. But most importantly, can customers trust this?
Yeah, trust in AI metrics is uniquely high stakes, and we want customers to be able to rely on this. So that's why we have spent pretty much all this summer in a deep dive evaluation for CX score. And we do that in two ways. So we come at this from a quantitative standpoint. So we have put the CX score through a lot of statistical rigor, measuring things like precision and recall, running a whole F-score analysis. But there's a qualitative component to that too. The Intercom CS team, the product team, have human reviewed thousands of conversations, and it's really this rigor that has led us feeling really confident that we're ready to ship this to everyone.
It's so important. I think it's a great example of how it's easy and fast to get to a thin AI product.
Yeah.
But if this is something that's going in front of your customers or evaluating how good Finn and your team is doing, it's got to be something you can trust, and you need real depth and rigor of it. I think one interesting anecdote you shared was actually one of the score reasons that you had, one of the candidate ones, you had to reject. Is that right?
Yeah, and no matter what underlying changes we made to the model to try to get to that reason, it just would not meet our quality bar on the statistical side. And so we just decided, look, we can't trust this. Let's get rid of it.
Great. Okay. So let's move on to the next one, which is topics.
Yeah.
So we've had topics for a while, and turns out customers want a little more control than we gave them initially. Tell us what they are and why they needed that.
Yeah, so wanting to classify your support volume has been a problem to be solved since we started building Intercom 14 years ago. But the solutions in the past were super rigid, or they required a lot of manual tagging and keyword analysis that frankly wasn't very good, very accurate. It created a lot of noise. Now we have this new technology, and AI can actually go in and classify your conversations at scale with a lot more accuracy. But to your point, even if AI was doing that, customers want more control. They want more transparency to understand how that underlying system is working. And so one of the things we've built now is the ability to actually manage your topics. So I'm going to pull up all of Intercom's topics now. And it's going to load. Great. So these are all of Intercom's topics. We'll dive in here and I can show you maybe these two subtopics around API generation and retrieval and rate limits. Maybe those feel really similar to me. And so I can select those. I could decide to merge them. Maybe I wanted to move them to a different topic. But I can also just create net new topics now as well. So maybe I wanted to create a new topic around the CX score reasons. And I can provide a description of that. And then I can also add different subtopics to it now too. So you've got control from many different angles.
Great. So this is really the best of both worlds, right? Bottoms up view where AI is giving you full coverage across all your conversations, getting in the topics and subtopics, and then the top down view, because every company says, here's how we think about things, here's how our product works, and you really can now merge both of those together. We didn't know if we are going to be able to do this, but I'm very happy that we finally could actually get both of those systems to work. And I think something that you've talked to me about the system is, this is a system, not just a set of reports, right? So, and it starts at the data layer where we've got new AI generated metrics or objects in the system, right? The CX score reasons, the CX score summaries, the topics, the subtopics. And when you have these are what give you the power, the objects that give you the power to build that full reporting system. So I think quickly, if you just go to like, hey, there's one cool report, if you just go to the topics one first, right? And this is where the manual report. So there's a, hey, we've got the data, and then we give you a manual report, and we're just showing you that data. Hopefully it looks pretty cool, but you need to kind of go in and dig. So we've got all the power of our reporting system up here, and you go digging and see what you can find.
Yeah.
But what we've now unlocked is the next layer of that system, which is we can finally be proactive.
Yeah.
Tell us about this.
Yeah. I like to think of, like you said, CX score and topics. They're like the foundational building blocks to insights. And now every feature we're shipping, again, builds on top of that. And so here with trending topics, we're taking the subtopics, the topics that you now have control over. And we're finding places where you've got a spike or a dip in volume, or maybe there's changes to involvement rate, resolution rate, and CX score. And every week we are sending you things that the system is finding interesting that require you to go in and investigate and figure out what's going on. So I can give you an example of one here. So in this case, we actually have a subtopic around SLAs where our CX score is improving. And so we'll give you that insight here. Just like with the rest of our reporting, you can click in, and now we're giving you even more like AI-powered intel into what's happening. So we're taking a lot of your conversations and we're summarizing them here for you. So you don't have to read all of the conversations if you don't want to. But of course, if there are any that you want to dig into, they're all linked to that right here. And we'll show you how that data is changing over time.
All right, so that's really cool. And so this is Intercom's actual data here. I think there's one that stood out to me if you go back to the week of Thanksgiving, and it's like, oh,
This one here.
our holiday scheduling, there was a surge in questions around this and more feedback that came around this. And it just like, for me, really brought it home of like, oh, this actually makes sense. So the test of this is, again, the promise of AI. You can mock up something, you can demo something, you can show something. I was like, that seems like it could be really cool. The test is it actually useful? Dawn, tell us, is it actually useful?
Yeah, really useful. We've been using trending topics weekly for CS Ops review. Every Monday, we have a mix of people from conversation designers to customer support managers that individually review trending topics data. Then on Tuesday, we come together and divulge what we found. We actually caught a pretty big opportunity recently. Via trends, we discovered that Finn wasn't aware when an outage was happening. So now we're trialing a process where we, or a procedure where we pass this information that there's an issue happening to Finn, and Finn can proactively tell the customer, hey, there's an issue happening right now. So it reduces that volume and troubleshooting in the inbox.
Well,
It's such a great story, and I think it's a great example of the Finn flywheel that's actually changing how your team works, right? Mondays go in, dig into these, Tuesdays come back, what do we need to change? And it's a great example of like what we're able to deliver with that proactive part of the system, which is, hey, we are trying to spot things you otherwise might not have seen, and then you go in and figure out, hey, is there actually something we need to change around this? And again, the test, so it's great to hear it's been useful for our team. Our feedback so far has been very positive on this, but go check it out for yourself. Like the test of all this, the proof is in the pudding. Does it actually deliver insights of value? These are available to all of our Finn customers today, so please check them out and tell us what you think. We think you're going to be really impressed. Okay, great. Now I'm going to share a handful of updates from across the rest of the Finn flywheel, if I may. Now, first up, I want to share Finn over Slack. Finn over Slack works just as you expect. You can bring Finn into any Slack workspace or any Slack Connect channel and have Finn resolve questions, conversations right there. Reply stays threaded, emojis work, it just works exactly as you'd expect. A lot of customer support today happens inside Slack. That's why it's so important Finn can go there as well. Now, equally, we've improved a lot more with the Slack integration. So you can actually create and manage tickets in Slack. You can initiate DMs to customers in Slack. You can actually even send broadcasts across a single message to multiple channels. So Slack as a support channel is now way more powerful generally, as well as just adding Finn to it. So just to show you what it looks like here, if we switch over here, we actually have this internal Ask Finn channel. Basically acts like Copilot, except you're not in the context of a conversation, so anyone can just go in and ask random questions. Like we see one Jenny asked here, does Finn have to be involved in a conversation for conversations to reach a CX score rating? And no, it doesn't. Thank you, Jenny, for asking that. Very timely question here. So Finn over Slack works just like you'd expect. Okay, now second, we've got much improved audience control for Finn. So let me just show you how this works. We have built a system level control called audiences. Get it here in Fin settings, right? And what this does is it means you can go in and define your audience once and then have that available around the entire system. So in this case, we've got like a sample web store. They've got one audience who's suppliers, one audience is buyers. Define that once here, and of course you'll add loads more detail into these audience rules. And then across all of these places, content, guidance, workflows, procedures, task procedures, data connectors, across the whole system now, you can apply that same rule set. And this gives you full visibility as well. So for example, if I go into content here, I can go and you can see, I can filter by that audience. See that same thing again. If I actually go into the individual content itself, I can go and say, again, come back and just choose that audience here. Actually, that's the buyer one, or it's both of those. And you don't have to redefine that audience details every single time, which is super easy to mess up. So this is a huge system level control. And here's like another example into preview. Now you can go in and test that audience in your preview. Again, and we've built a system around that, right? And this is really for any type of segmentation of customers that you're using. So maybe it's marketplaces with suppliers and buyers like this. Maybe it's multi-brand. Maybe it's different regions where you have different content, different guidance for different regions, different tiers of support. There's loads of use cases for these Fin audiences. And it's really that powerful system level object that we've put into the flywheel. This is the level of sophisticated configurability we build directly into the product, so you have full control. Cool. Okay, next up, we've shipped a new Fin content experience. Maybe you actually spotted this when I was showing you earlier. What you see here on the content page is that we've got all your content in one place. So you don't have to go clicking around the app to manage all the content that you've got for Fin. So in addition, we've actually made behind the scenes, over the last number of months, huge improvements in our sync capabilities. And what this page does is also better expose the status of those syncs and of all those pages. And actually, we also have much improved error states if a sync goes wrong, so we alert you so you know you need to fix it there. So again, making content, which is so critical to Fin, making it easier for you to manage and be confident it's doing what you think it's doing. Now, finally, I want to show you our changelog, which is just down here, over here, the new changelog. This does exactly what it says on the tin. This is a full history of the changes across your Fin deployments. And you can see of all these things here, your guidance, tasks, which will turn into procedures, deployments, articles. And so you can go in here and hopefully you're like us and you have a ton of changes that you're making to Fin all the time. And so you can go in here and quickly spot where was it where we actually changed that guidance one, for example, if you're worried something changed, you didn't want it. And this gives you the control to basically diagnose problems and go in and fix them again. And we're exploring looking at doing things like revert and show you the diff so you can more easily see what changed here. But the bottom line is that this makes it, gives you control over Fin. Okay, so that's the scoop for this month's product updates. Hopefully you've seen how we are genuinely committed to building the very best AI agent on the market with the continuous improvement loop that is the Fin flywheel. So today we looked at CX score and score reasons. We looked at curated topics, plus the new proactive topic trends. We showed you Fin over Slack. We showed you Fin audiences, an improved Fin content experience, and then that nice little Fin changelog. Everything we've shown you today is available to all of our Fin customers today. So go check it out. Tell us what you think. Thanks for watching. See you next time.